driver off the deck for Corey Connors.
Here's driver off the deck for Victor Hovland.
So the driver off the deck. I know you would try this, right?
Oh my, what a shot.
Just to be able to hit it off the deck and get that thing down and fly it in running.
You have to put your foot on the gas. You pull out the driver off the deck and you put it on the green all the way up the hill.
Welcome back to the Off the Deck podcast. I am Josh Decker. I am thrilled to be here today with a good friend, Ethan Winchester. Ethan, how you doing, bud?
Doing great. How about yourself? Everything good?
Everything is great. I wish you and I were in the same setting we were last time I saw you at the wonderful Country Club of Birmingham, which was a special day. But today we're here to talk to you about your role and everything you do with Johnny O and calling on golf clubs. And sometimes I think you have one of the greatest jobs in the world, and other times I think you have one of the worst jobs in the world. So first, before we get into that, I want to talk about when you fell in love with the game, because I know you're quite a stick. We've played a fair amount of golf together. So tell me from growing up and just what that was like. I've met your dad a couple times, loved Steve to death. Tell me about when you fell in love with the game of golf and kind of how, was that in grade school, high school? What did that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you saying I'm sort of a stick, by the way. After a round at CCB, others would say, I just got to get that putter fixed, man. It's a thorn in my side right now. I fell in love with the game very early on. Like you said, you've met Dad a few times, but he's got such a passion for it. And he's an old road rep as well. And so he had plenty of stories of, his glory days working the Masters and taking a box of donuts to the guy at the back gate so he could set up his chairs on 16, at like 6 a.m. That's a crazy, as obviously
Sounds like
security's
I
a
need
lot
to have
tighter
Steve on.
nowadays. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. He would tear this up. But yeah, so he fell in love with it, I guess, in his late 20s. And I mean, he's got such a cool story about how he never played golf before in his life and was out selling stuff and goes to Kansas City Country Club and Pro gives him a set of, what was it? It was McGregor blades. And he's like, here, you never played before? Take these, go out, do it. Yeah. Yeah. And he kept those for a long time. And then, I mean, he's a pretty good player himself. And so, but I guess for me, so Dad was obviously in the business for a while, and one of my, I guess, earliest memories was we were living in Branson whenever he was helping start Martin Dingman, and we lived on a golf course up there. Of course, I was like this big, so I don't have much recollection of anything, but he always tells me that every day I would sneak out of the house and go to the putting green in my diaper, and I would have a putter, and I'd sit out there and putt around. And so, yeah, I mean, I never, at that age, grew up doing, like first tee and all those sort of things. And he was really trying to get the game in me, and right. I would push back on that a lot, like a lot of kids do. And then finally really decided I wanted to do it. Probably about middle school. All my other buddies had, playing baseball, doing all that sort of stuff. I was like, I need something to do. And so, there were a lot of summer days where we'd go out and play, 36, 40 holes and then go jump in the pool fully clothed after that sort of deal. Yeah. I don't know if that sufficiently answered your question.
No, it absolutely does. Did you play competitively in high school? I don't think you played at Arkansas. I feel like I would know about that if you played for the Razorbacks.
No, I did. I played in high school, and our golf coach was also our basketball coach. There's a whole nother story there. I don't know how much detail I can go into that on your show, but he was
it has an explicit rating. It's up to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So our high school, it was the high school basketball coach who, great dude, but the assistant basketball coach, his name was Coach Calhoun. I don't even know if he's still kicking nowadays, but I mean, dude, he'd come out there and it was this crappy little local muni that was across from an abandoned insane asylum that was like our home course.
It's the most Arkansas story ever.
Oh, I know, man. In the hood too, which wasn't great, but we'd go out there and then we'd hit a bucket of balls and he was like, take off. And it was like 9-holer, go out, play as much as you want. But Coach Calhoun would, he would come out and follow us around and basically like drink a 12 pack and smoke a blunt on the golf course. And so we'd see him on the first tee and then we wouldn't see him for the rest of the day. And so there wasn't much like cultivating the game going on, but from a camaraderie standpoint and hanging out with your boys, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, Coach
we were
Calhoun
never
was
really
happy to get that stipend for being the golf coach, right?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. But I got so many funny stories about like going out there and practicing and getting, and it was like a war zone out there, just getting hit by golf balls and all sorts of crap. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So then you go to Arkansas, or finish about high school golf. Were you competitive in the state, or? Yeah, generally, it was never like, man, we were like a 7A school. And so it was a football, basketball school. But we had some really good players. Back then, really good players. It's nothing compared to like where we're at in Birmingham with all these kids that are going out and shooting 67, 65 on a regular basis. But no, we won a couple of state titles and mostly like a singles sort of thing, because we'd have some guys that could go out there and shoot 70, 72, and other guys that go out there and shoot 102. Yeah, it was a varying range of skill. 2 girls on the team, so that was interesting. But hold on, yeah, you had 2 girls on your boys golf team? Not on
the boys team. We would always practice together, but there's 2 girls that made up the women's golf team the girls golf team for North Little Rock.
That was it.
School. So that was it. That was it. It was interesting.
Okay. I'm trying to think through how they even would handle scoring for team events on something like that. They just, for like ghost players that get like an 80 or something.
Yeah, it was like I think they would do like individual stuff. I don't know. At least like I'm trying to remember, but like my junior year, I think there might have been a couple more. They might have made out like a 5-some or something like that. But it was wasn't very involved. Coach Calhoun was also the girls golf coach too, so that was probably a thing too.
I feel like we might have a podcast that's just dedicated to Coach Calhoun.
We should get him on. I'll have to track him down.
If he's still alive, right?
If he's still alive, who knows? Who knows? Great guy.
So fast forward, you go to Arkansas. Get out of Arkansas, are looking for a gig. As you've already referred to, your dad was in this industry, or has been and still is in this industry, in terms of soft goods. Is that the correct terminology that I should use here?
Yes. Yeah. So he's always been in soft goods. And so he sold everything from suits to, Bobby Jones, and obviously helped start Martin Dingman. But, like getting my start in golf was non-typical, I guess. Like a lot of people that you'll meet in the industry are either former golf pros or, have had something, they've worked at a golf course. So I would say the majority of reps out there are former assistant professionals or pros or something like that, have some sort of ties to golf. And I never really did. So I studied agriculture in college, thinking I just wanted to duck hunt for the rest of my life, and quickly found out that was not going to be the case. And so I started my career really with a company called Stitch Golf, and they were, at the time, like a startup. And so it was head covers, and they had just come out with a golf bag, and that golf bag kind of took the market by storm. So it was a situation where it was, they were hiring on young guys, and just
you
wanted
to. You didn't necessarily want to work in the golf industry. That was just kind of what you knew from growing up, and they were looking to hire, and you needed a job.
Yeah, honestly, it was Dad, because he was. I was 21, and I was like, I have no idea what I want to do, and he was like, dude, do what you love. And he was like, you love to play. And he was like, I can't see you doing anything except for sales. It's like, so he's like, shoot your shot, and I did, and so. Stitch was a great company to work for. I was with them for about 2.5 years before I met my lovely wife, and thought I wanted to get off the road for a little bit, and got a desk job, and that obviously didn't work out for me. So
I don't know that I know that about your background. What were you doing behind a desk? Also, shout out Leah Winchester. Huge fan of Leah Winchester in the Decker house.
She's the best.
She asked me to put up with you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'll kick my coverage. I know that. whenever Leah and I met, I was traveling like, I think I covered 10 states with Stitch. I mean, I was going from Louisville to Tallahassee to New Orleans to Kansas City. It was insane.
That's not sustainable.
No, it was crazy. And so, but then again, it was a small company, and I was thankful to have like the territory, because that's the biggest thing, is just like having, especially with a small company like that, anybody willing to, want it, I guess.
Right.
And then we met. I was like, okay, there's no way I'm gonna be able to have a relationship if I'm traveling like, literally 7 days a week. I got a desk job with a cybersecurity company, and I was their basically director of financial sales. And so I would go to like banks and be like, hey, you guys probably need some cybersecurity. And I went from like, at the golf business, you walk in and it's so like fraternal. Like there's so much camaraderie with that. And, everybody's happy to see each other. They're always excited to see, the next thing that you're about to show them. And with that, it was like you walk in, they're like, oh my God, this is fun, So,
right.
Yeah. Trying to sell us cybersecurity. That lasted about 7 months. And I remember I was driving back to Little Rock from a meeting in Springfield, pouring down rain. I called Leo. I was like, I hate this. I was like, this is terrible. And I feel sorry for anybody who's listening that's in cybersecurity, but it was not my gig. And so I called a family friend, Chris Knott, who's, kind of the guru of golf apparel. A little backstory on him. He was one of the co-founders of Peter Millar, and sold out of that in, I think, 2016, and then got started with Johnny O in 2019. My dates could be off there a little bit, but called him and said, Noddy, you got anything at Johnny O? And he said, let me call you back. Calls me back and says, can you move to Atlanta? And I said, no. He says, let me call you back. And he calls me back and he says, okay, how does this sound? So my first territory with Johnny O was Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Memphis, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma. And he was like, how's that sound? And I was like, sounds pretty damn good to me,
Yeah.
Hey, let's do it. He was like, okay, you got an
Where were you
interview?
based at the time?
I was really, I was based out of Little Rock, but I was living in Fayetteville at the time while Leah was living in Little Rock. And so I was really living in Little Rock. But,
big enough once you're putting down there.
yeah. But yeah, and then that was in September of 2019. And so I'm on year 6 with Johnny O, and man, it's been a hell of a ride. So
you said September of 2019?
Yep.
What, and this isn't typically a topic I'm going to cover on this podcast. What was that like to start a new job September of 2019 and then the world stops in March of 2020, especially in that line of business?
That was interesting. So obviously, I mean, crazy time for everybody during COVID, but so getting on with a company with, such opportunity, you're just like itching to get out and see people and sell it. And so remember, I went to PGA show. So it's January of that was of 2020. And I remember flying down there and then flying back. There was people at every gate in the Orlando airport they would swab your mouth before you had to get back on the plane. And I was like, we had heard about it. I remember looking at it, like somebody got a notification on their phone and it was like, rare disease found in Seattle, and it was like, I can't remember who, I guess it was the CDC that was at every gate swabbing everybody that got on there, trying to figure out where it came from and all this stuff. And I remember walking up to like check in, and they were like, swab me. And I was like, this is that COVID thing, isn't it? And they were like, sir, we're not allowed to tell you that. Then we get back. I mean, just the world explodes, which I wasn't feeling great. I remember I was rooming with our rep from Seattle. He lived in Washington at the time, and he was running like 104-degree fever the entire week, and was like, I think I need to go to the hospital. And I was like, that sucks, man. Like,
were you patient 1 in Arkansas?
Maybe, honestly. Yeah. let's cut that out of us, but probably. Like, no, I mean, it was just like, I mean, everybody got sick at PGA show, you know? I mean, because it's a couple 100,000 people that go down there for that and travel
from all over the world.
All over the world. Yeah, all over the world. Like think about it. You've got Mura there, like showing off their new stuff. It's like crazy. So that was interesting. I mean, of course, like everybody was sick once we got back to PGA show. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. And I remember I was in New Orleans and out to dinner with a friend, and then literally the next day, like you got the notification, it was like everything shutting down. And that was early in February. And then, I mean, obviously nothing really fully shut down until March, until everybody figured everything out. But it was kind of back to your question. That was scary. I mean, just like you go from, I guess, a stable paycheck with that crappy job I had in cybersecurity to a commission only role. And, you know, you're trying to build a territory that's been really underserviced for the brand. And it was, yeah, it sucked. I mean, because they were like, you know, all right, guys, you can't travel. Don't do this, you know. And I mean, you remember that time, but it was like, I mean, companies were laying people off and trying to save money and figuring out what the new world was going to look like. And so ultimately, it worked out in my benefit because they did some rep reshuffling, and a couple of my good buddies from Stitch, you know, decided they wanted to come over and do a little JO. And, you know, I benefited from that because I got obviously I'm where I'm at now, but picked up Georgia, picked up Tennessee. I mean, it was like Alabama, no brainer.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't like freaky for obvious reasons outside of like, holy shit, we're in a pandemic, you know?
Right.
But,
so the game of golf just boomed because it was one of the few things you could do outside. Did apparel as well?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, it feels like the boom's still going on. Golf was one of those few things that people could actually still go out and do that was safe. I'm sure everybody listening to this podcast remembers like you're not allowed to touch a pin. You can't you have to ride in a cart by yourself, which was pretty nice. Made a lot of birdies that weren't actually birdies during that point in time. But yeah, no, I think it was like the world opened their eyes to golf because it was the business for then. I don't want to say it was stagnant, but it's really a crappy way to put it, but COVID was the best thing that ever happened to golf from a visibility standpoint, and then from a business standpoint, you know. Like since then, I mean, country club memberships are full, and I mean, people are dying to want a piece of whatever they can get their hands on, you know, in this sport. And so, but yeah, it drastically, like once everything opened back up, and you know, there was some very difficult things to go along with that. Like nobody knew whenever they were going to get product. And so it was like,
well, okay, you're talking supply chain. I thought you meant just general life impacts.
No, yeah, I mean, I mean, it's hard for people to kind of see outside of our little bubble. Of course, that was a very big bubble that was going on, but you know, there was so much trade stuff that was going on, and just issues with factories shutting down in Vietnam where everybody sources their stuff. And, you know, it was like, oh, okay, that puts like if a factory over there shut down for a week, it's a month over here before you see anything, you know? And so it was a very fluid time where there was just obviously shrouded by a lot of questions, but it made people like want stuff more, you know. I think
because I couldn't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the government checks were definitely giving people a reason to spend some money too once we got on the other side of everything. So, I mean, but what you saw there, like e-com business just absolutely boomed. Golf shops were, you know, if you were allowed inside of them, they were selling stuff like crazy. That was like the only thing that was open, you know. It's like the only place you could go shop that wasn't like online. Right. And so like nobody's going to want to go to a mall, but hey, if I'm already playing golf, you want to walk in there and, you know, see Johnny O sitting on the rack. Holy cow. Yeah. We're going to get that. Not that we're in any malls, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, I think it was, you saw like coming out of that period, just this like, we want whatever you got to, whatever you got. And that, I mean, it wasn't just us, obviously it was everything, but, I mean, you saw revenue in shops going from A to B like that, you know?
That's wild.
It's wild, wild, wild.
So one of the things that has fascinated me about our conversations about what you do, and I think that a lot of people don't have a true appreciation of, is everything that goes on behind the scenes. If you're doing a member guest, or if you're doing a member, or just the shirt that is hanging in the shop that has the club's logo on it.
Right.
I don't want you don't have to give a full diatribe of what that process looks like, but I do think there should be a great level of appreciation given to what you do and what those shops do. I'm sure you have some that you prefer over others that are easier to work with, some that you have to meet on site and those kind of things. But if you can, talk to us about just like from the moment you sit down with somebody and they say, yeah, I want that polo and I want our logo on the sleeve. What does that timeline look like? Or even a member guest, whatever part of that business that you think is best way to illustrate how much time, effort, and energy and resources goes into that process, I think would be great to hear.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, it's different from company to company, but generally speaking, like at least in my side of the business, it's, you are not planning for something that you're going to get tomorrow. You're planning for something that you're going to get half a year from now, you know? And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like,
so it's 6 month lead time.
Yeah, well, I mean, the process that really goes into it is we put a line together, right? And so, you know, we just, like, I'm out right now selling for spring 2026. And so,
hold on, I want you to repeat that. That just like blows my mind. It is, and again, this isn't necessarily a time sensitive podcast. Right. We're recording this towards the end of August. Yeah. And you're now selling for spring.
Selling right now for stuff that's going to be shipping January 1st to June 30th. And yeah, that's, a lot of people don't realize that. I'm selling stuff that we don't have.
Which that was the question I was about to ask, is how much of the manufacturing and volume of a certain product, like, are you and your other reps, the other JO reps, you guys are all selling this right now, and then is someone at JO headquarters, Johnny O headquarters, going to look at the volume you all sold of a specific product, and then we're going to add a little bit to that, and that's what's going to get ordered for spring of 2026?
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's generally, like, whenever we go out,
so you let the market dictate what is going to be on the show.
Like, I've got, which I wish I had one sitting here with me, but, you know, a catalog that's this thick. And by the end of the season, it could end up being this thick, or it could be this thick, you know. It all depends on what we're out doing, you know. And so, I mean, it's really important for us as reps to be out on the road, you know, seeing as many people as we can early to help, you know, our planners at Johnny O figure out, okay, this is our most popular style. And like right now, probably here in about 2 weeks, we're going to start doing chase buys. And so what that means is, like, you know, it's going to be a thing where it's like, see as many people as you can in by this date, and send us feedback so we know what we need to get more of or what we need less of. And so it's interesting. And I don't think people really think about it that much, but like, us as sales reps are really integral, not only to like a company's revenue, but also, I mean, I don't want to say decision making, but it is, you know, we're an important piece of the puzzle there. That's, you know, we're seeing, like, I go and see Country Club Birmingham, and I mean, I know what they're going to buy, but hearing their feedback, it's like gold, so that I can take that to whoever and say, like, okay, people are loving this, but they don't love this, or they like this, but they don't like this. You know, we need more of this. And it's same thing with member guests. I mean, tournaments in general. Like, generally with, like, if Josh Decker was going and he sees a portal that, you know, you can go on and get X amount of stuff, that's something that we've been working on for a while. You know,
6 months or more?
Not 6 months or more generally. Because obviously with with tournaments, you got to use stuff that's on hand, you know, but there's pieces of that like, you know, with us, we kind of have, I don't want to say predetermined in any sense, but like we have styles that we know are going to do better and we buy more of specifically because it's like, oh my gosh, this is a great tournament shirt. You know, people are going to want this as an option and their tournament selection. So, but you know, I've got the timeline on that sort of stuff is, you know, it's definitely not like, oh, we can get it to you tomorrow sort of thing. I've got tournaments that I'm working on right now for next year. And I've got tournaments that people call me about today and they need it in, you know, middle of September. And so it's an ever flowing thing. And, you know, there's a lot of different elements to those that, you know, all comes down to who you're working with and all sorts of stuff.
And you work specifically with golf clubs. There are other reps that have other verticals, and is it the reps that really kind of set the marketplace for what I see on johnnyo.com? Like what you all are collectively getting feedback from that market that then you guys have manufactured. Is that, because I know I've seen your catalog. Your catalog is 3 inches thick, and I know that all of those items are not available on johnnyo.com. So is it really like almost, for lack of a better phrase, a crowdsourced, we've got all these different products, but then because of the feedback we're getting, we're going to narrow it down to these because we've allowed the market to kind of set itself as to what people are most interested in?
Not really. I mean, and so I'm in a bubble here, you know, with like the South is a totally different ball game than the Northeast or the Northwest. You know, it's different people, different tastes, different stuff. And so like, I'm not going to say that, you know, there's not a lot of like slimming that goes on. It is a group effort, and I can only speak to like what we do and how really lucky we are to have a team that's so communicative, excuse me. But I mean, like every single one of us has got a direct line to the designers and like, hey, this stripe is doing so well. If we had it in 5 other colors, we could sell it in all 5 colors, you know? And so that's stuff that like I'll text
they'll take that and run with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, they're super open to like, especially the design team. It's like, hey, if you see anything out there that you really like, buy it, send it to us. We'll pay you back and we'll make something cool with it. You know, if it's, I mean, like I remember like being in, I was lucky enough to go to the Ryder Cup 2 years ago and being in Italy, like with all of, you know, that's like Fashion Central, right? The Mecca. And so, you know, you're seeing stuff that you've never even heard of. And I'm sitting in there and like walking into men's shops over there and just taking pictures of labels and sending it to our guys. And I'm like, you got to check this out. You know, it's only made here. Like, what can we do with that? You know?
That's cool.
So, I mean, but like you said, like, yeah, we have several different verticals and we have different people that we need to please, if that makes sense from
absolutely
from a whole brand standpoint. And so I don't think, and us as reps, we don't really want it to get smaller. Like you want it to, like, I know my specific guys, I know they're not going to buy the big, crazy, wild prints and all that sort of stuff. And so like, I'm always asking for more stripes and more of this and more kind of old school country club sort of stuff. But you got guys, I mean, the guys in Arizona and California, they want the big crazy stuff. And so they need more of that. So it's about finding like, I guess, balance, if that kind of sums that up.
And so your day to day, depending on the seasonality of it, you're driving all over the Southeast, calling on a club. I've seen the back of your car and it has 300 shirts in it and all the things. Just give us an idea of what a week in your world looks like during that season.
During the busy season, I would say, you know, it's the kind of seasonality of everything, and it all depends on how many people you got to see, you know. But you know, my really like super busy seasons, and this is another thing I think people don't really realize, is like summers are super slow for us. I don't want to say like slow because you've got tournaments and events and all that stuff going on, but like whenever I'm going, I'm meeting with a buyer or a pro is purchasing all the stuff for their shops, right? They don't want to see me whenever they're super busy and doing 200 rounds a day. So I try to see them whenever it's
November.
super slow. Yeah. I mean, I try and see them. Like, there's a reason why PGA show is in January, right?
Makes sense. I've never thought about that, but it makes complete sense.
Half the country is covered in snow, and so like, you know, it's I think it's kind of ironic. Like, you will have some Florida guys that will like go there, but the vast majority are people that are, you know, they'll take 2 weeks because the club's shut down. They'll go down there and hang out, play golf. You know, I mean, it feels like Orlando's population size doubles, you know, for events like that. But yeah, I like day to day, and it's difficult, but like, you know, you got to stay on top of your stuff, and so it's carving out time to make sure that you're in front of your computer. I mean, the fun part is going out and seeing people and seeing their reaction, getting orders, and doing all that stuff. But the back end of that is punching in orders, making sure logos are right, making sure quantities are correct, and making sure they're arriving at a certain time, and I mean, all sorts of stuff. And so it's a lot more calculated than I think people would imagine it is. But you know, this time of year, like this week is pretty chilled out. I'm taking this week to just get caught up because I've been doing shows and traveling the past 3 weeks. And so, like this season, for example, I kicked my first like punch into the season was, we have an apparel show at Eastlake, which is not a bad place to be for a week, you know?
No,
And
not at
so
all.
that's always the last week of July. And, you know, I'll go there, and the thing that's great about that is that you have people from all over the state and surrounding states that come in and see you at one central place. That's not always the case. Like the following week, I am back in Atlanta because Atlanta's a nightmare to cover, but it is, I was back in Atlanta, and then was in Atlanta for 2 days, drove to Sea Island and saw, you know, my 2 customers down there, which is Sea Island and Frederica, and then drove back to Birmingham. And so it's, you know, there's a recipe to it, and most of the time it's, you know, you knock out your big boys first, and Sea Island's obviously a big boy. And so go down there, see them as early as I possibly can, because all of us are thinking the exact same thing. At least, you know, competitors are, hey, Sea Island, huge account. We're going to go see them very early on, you know?
Yeah.
Before things start selling out and before things, but last week was in Nashville for an entire week, set up at a hotel, had people come and see you, which is great. And, you know, that's another kind of fun thing about the industry is like a lot of brands that we quote unquote compete with, you know, I'm really good friends with those guys that are reps, and we hang out, and we will, you know, team up and go and set up at one central place, and then have people come see us. And, you know, it's fun. I don't know if there's a lot of other territories out there that are kind of, you know, like that, but, you know, we're really blessed down here to have good guys, good brands, and fun people. So,
yeah, we won't mention brands, those other brands, but I've heard you talk about them, and it's always kind of, especially there's one in particular that you, if I'm wearing it, I receive grief from you, and that's fine. But we were talking frequently, or talking a while back, and you were like, yeah, I was sitting down and having dinner with this so-and-so rep, and I was like, whoa, hold on. If I have on that brand, you threatened me within an inch of my life. And so it's really cool that y'all have just kind of that relationship, and it's like, you know, we're all kind of on this grind together, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure there's also some insights that you all can share with one another, not giving away trade secrets, but like, hey, did you know so-and-so is now buying for XYZ club? It's not so-and-so. So make sure you kind of circumvent that person and get to the actual decision maker.
Well, and I mean, it's not like, none of us expect to go into a shop and get every single square inch of that shop as our real estate, you know? Like that's not going to happen unless, it's just not going to happen. Like people, there's different, whenever you're thinking about like a golf club membership or a specific place, Sea Island's a great example. You got guys that walk in there that are 90 years old. You got kids that walk in there that are, you know, you've got several different tastes and people from all over the world that have different preferences. And so I don't know. We're all working towards a collective goal of being good to the people that we're working with, on a country club level. But, we're all we all coexist, if that makes sense. And it's a
and respect
fun,
one another.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, and like you said, I mean, we share, it's not like, it's not like we're sitting there. I'm trying to think about like what I'm trying to say. Like or what you said.
Well, you've told me before
like
about there's some shops that you just know you're not going to get any market share.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is what it is. And then there's others, that's going to be a breadwinner for you.
Yeah.
And then people change, staff changes, people leave, new people are hired. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a relationship business. Because we all know the Johnny O product is second to none and one of the best in the market.
Yep.
And so it's just a matter of who you're dealing with behind that counter, right?
Absolutely.
Which is fascinating, especially considering the number of relationships you have to manage. If you think about the entire Southeast, that's not a small number. Like,
no, and I think that's a fun thing, and I think that's why like a lot of us have such good relationships with the people that we work with from a customer standpoint. Is because I've got X number of accounts that I sell to in the Southeast, but I also understand that the person buying at this particular club probably has 3 times that amount to deal with on a day-to-day basis with their membership, and so there's a lot of, there's always like a sort of trickle down thing. And so it's funny, because like if somebody's got like a tough cookie member or something like that somewhere, we get to hear about that. And there's a lot of like open communication about that.
They don't vent to
yeah, exactly. And so that's a fun thing. And it's also, I mean, a lot of times it's, it's somebody has a special order or they want this shirt with this logo and all this stuff. And that happens a few times and they don't like it, or something happens, and, so it's funny because you build like relationships with those people, which you also, I've been really lucky to like be able to like go to a bunch of events and do things where I get to meet a bunch of the members, and so it's like you create relationships that way as well. I mean, if you get a member at somewhere on your side, that's like the greatest asset ever. Yeah. It's fun.
That's pretty cool.
But it's also it's also like you said, it's a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people, and it's fun.
Just one last thing on industry, and then I got a couple of questions before you get out of here. What's one thing about your industry, and specifically as it relates to country clubs, that you didn't know about when you got into the business, or that our listeners that I don't know about, just in something that surprised you?
How many cool places there are out there?
That's a good one.
That was surprising. I mean, honestly, I thought it was. I thought it was going to be totally different, because I mean, you go to some places and they're locked up like Fort Knox, and
right. How many customers do you have that you have to meet off site?
Not many anymore. Early on, there was quite a few that, which I can name a few, but like, like a lotion is a great example, which I don't work with a lotion anymore because I don't cover Arkansas anymore. But, that place, if you ask the average Joe, they'd never heard of it, mm-hmm. But it is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and it is locked up like Fort Knox. It's like, so there's been a few times with a select few people that it takes you a while to kind of get in there, but once you do, they're like your best friends. And so it's there's not many that are like that anymore. But then again, I mean, there's certain places where it's a necessity because of how remote places are. Like I'm sure like Fall Line is a great example. Fall Line, I've been lucky enough to go and be able to see the property and do everything, but the logistics of it, of dragging in, like you said, 300 shirts,
your rack,
going up 2 flights of stairs and doing that sort of thing, doesn't really work. And so, like you should see me try and get all those clothes onto an elevator and then have to run up the stairs very quickly and try to get it off an elevator. It's interesting. It's interesting. But yeah, no, I would say I thought whenever I first got into the business that it would be a lot more, I guess, stuffy, that that, would be people. I think the thing that I've been most surprised about is um, how awesome the people are, which that sounds like a very corny way of saying that, but, it really is. It's a relationship, and it's not only a business relationship, but it's a friendship. And, so I've been very blessed to meet a lot of like super cool people that have really been willing to help me out and, give us a shot, and it's paid off, and it's a benefit going both ways. But the people are great, and like I said, there's just so many stinking cool places out there that people just have no idea about, and being able to go and like see those places and have the opportunity to go play them and do that sort of deal. That's what makes this, in my opinion, best job in the world. So
okay, well, yeah, your answer I said that at the outset of like, okay, sometimes I think it's the best, sometimes I think it's the worst. And yeah, I love when I get a picture from you and you're on some course and I'm like, where in the world are you? And that's if you've even been able to take a picture of where you are. But yeah,
I've gotten in trouble for that a few times, but
especially in your territory, if listeners are picking up on what I'm putting down, he covers the Southeast. So there are some very, very cool places that Ethan gets to visit. A couple quick questions and then we'll get you out of here. I'm incredibly thankful for your time. And these are just going to be just top of mind, whatever you think, whatever comes to mind. Favorite new course in 2025 that you've played?
Ooh, Landman with you.
Love that. That was a good time. It was a great time.
That was a very good time. Shoulders healing up, thankfully. I don't know. Might have re-aggravated it again, but
we're pretty sure you may have torn your labrum or were in the process of tearing your labrum while we were playing Landman.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
And we also, our listeners, we've already had a couple guys on who were part of that trip as well, Kyle and AJ, and Ethan was part of the group that went with them to the Hard Rock Casino. And so, that was a fun moment, especially when the four of y'all or the three of y'all showed up at the cabins there at Landman. Favorite club in the bag right now?
Ooh, definitely not the putter. Not the putter. I'm gonna go with. Oh crap! That's a good question. Driver. I've figured,
okay.
Yeah, I know, which is shocking for you. Shocking for you. Got my balls back with the driver, and it feels good.
There were some rough days of low left. With the driver. Dream foursome.
Ooh, oh man. That's tough. I'm going to go with, Kevin Kisner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm going to go Kiz, Freddie Couples, and Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin.
Wow. Okay. So, and shout out Heidi Kraft. We had Heidi on last week, and she had Freddie Couples in hers as well.
Yeah.
I did not have that on my bingo card of having two people in back-to-back weeks saying that Freddie Couples would be in their dream foursome.
No, yeah.
Your perfect scenario on the golf course, if when you're playing, are you a deuce sweeper or are you golden hour?
Ooh, entering into fall football season, I'm going to go golden hour. Yeah, after an 11 o'clock game, you're out there. Yeah, out there, leaves changing. You got a cold beer in your hand, and sun's kind of going down. You sneak out for a quick 9. Best feeling in the world.
We need to make that happen.
We do need to make that happen.
And then lastly, do you hit your driver off the deck?
No, I don't. I do not. I love it too much.
The wheels were turning there.
Yeah. I was thinking about I should. Okay, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna say yes for you.
Yeah. No, hey, it's fine. It's fine. We get all kinds of answers.
Yeah.
Ethan, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on, brother. Really, really
Thanks
appreciate
for the opportunity, brother. Yeah.
Let's try and tee it up sometime soon. Absolutely. I am Josh Decker, and this has been another episode of Off the Deck.